welcome to my channel. It is the work in progress time, so grab your work, grab your tea as usual. I have mine. I am starting off with cross stitch. I'm actually back stitching because I really want to get this finished. This is the Cunning cross stitch letters from Hogwarts. Now usually I am a sewing method, if it's such a thing, a sewing method stitcher, so I'm hoping I don't have too many issues with this while I flip my fabric around, and hopefully I don't lose you either on the screen so that you can kind of see what I'm doing whenever my hands are not in the way. So that's what I'm up to. Let me show you very quickly though where I am up to. Okay, so there's my owl. I haven't done any back stitching on the owl, and in fact I'm not 100% happy with my owl. Excuse me, gonna cough. Let me give you a bit of a zoom in. But I am delighted with my train. If I can, come on, there we go, sort of, there. So the train has been flipped. The original train was actually going the other direction, so I worked in reverse on the pattern, and one of the stitchers actually had the cloud steam pattern on their piece, so I've kind of stolen, borrowed from them. Now this one is the castle. Focus, come on. Now the castle in its beauty, trying to get it level is interesting. All right, there's the castle. I will be showing this in floss tube as well, but this is the castle. You get a sneak peek. And yes, I have put in a moon and clouds. They are all my own crazy wackadoodle design. I think I need to backstitch that top of the grey to get it to bounce forward from the moon. Now, and I love the effect of, hang on, ugh, caught in thread. I love the effect of Misty's dye with this. It looks like moon rays. That's really, really cool. But what was I going to say? With the moon, I've done a glow-in-the-dark moon. I went on to a number of Etsy kind of Pinteresty kind of things. One of the girls actually has the blood red moon in hers. Either my memory is that bad, or I don't actually recall seeing a blood red moon in Harry Potter. Could be my memory. So I kind of like the idea. She's got a couple of not, I think they're dragons, but I don't know if they're meant to be the not the demons, the Dementors. They could be the Dementors on hers, but she had the thinner clouds, and I kind of thought, yeah, it's kind of, and all she did was a sketch on the graph paper, and I kind of thought, you know what, I could do that too. So I kind of tried it. So what I ended up doing was going for a similar size with the moon as I did for the front of the train, just to give me the round size, not to have it too overwhelming, but I wanted it kind of big enough behind the castle. I have put in some stars, and the moon is all, well, there's 3 different colours in it. I have to make a note of what they are because I know I'm going to be asked. But I've also doubled up the stitches, the floss, with glow-in-the-dark thread. I've also doubled up all of these windows with glow-in-the-dark thread. So the floss is being called for with 2 strands, and the glow-in-the-dark thread is super skinny. So two of the glow-in-the-dark strands feels like one DMC floss, if that makes any sense. If I think of it, I will try when I'm listening, because it's usually in the first few minutes, and I kind of listen to the first few minutes to make sure it all recorded okay. But if I remember, I will put a photo in that I took of the glowing in the dark for you to show, because I took it 2 nights ago, I think, when I finished the window insertions, and then I started backstitching yesterday because it needed it. And then I'm still backstitching today, so yeah, as I said, hopefully we'll finish this. Alright. Catching up. If you haven't already caught up, and I know there was a lot less publicity this time around. I think I don't know what's going on with the whole community. I know there has been posts in a lot of the groups, but some of the groups are getting a bit pernickety about promoting endeavours and things like that. Posts get deleted constantly. They're just not friendly places that you can promote those kind of things, and it's not I don't know why, because it's not promoting any one person, and this particular DP-a-thon, Sparkle-thon, was promoting fundraising. Anyway, there doesn't seem to have been an awful lot of publicity about this. Some people have gone, why did I not hear about this before? And it's like, well, it has been on Facebook and it has been on Instagram, and there have been many people actually, you know, actively advertising it, but then, I don't know, Facebook algorithms and all that kind of thing, they maybe get lost in the cracks. I don't know who has time to troll back through 20 posts per hour on some of the busier groups. I don't know what it is. Anyway, we had a Sparkle-a-thon at the weekend. We had, gosh, I didn't do a count, potentially 15-20 contributors. It was 1.5 hour time slots from Saturday morning US through to Sunday evening. There were, I think, 2 hours on the wee hours of Sunday morning where there was a bit of a gap between Fiona and Carla. Carla was in Denmark and she kicked off her lunchtime before she had to go to work. And yeah, anyway, there is a playlist. There is a playlist on my page. There is a playlist on Marissa's page. Marissa is the crafty heifer. A lot of people have supported Marissa in fundraising for St. Jude, which is her fundraising baby. And then there are some other fundraising. So Shine Like a Diamond has done some fundraising for diabetes because her daughter's got diabetes. There was Essential Tremors. If you want to find out what essential tremors are, it's a bit like, well, it's the shaking that you might see Parkinson's patients with. It is not the same. It is a different issue. It really baffles me why they call it essential tremors. Yeah, names that people come up with for diseases. Anyway, Michelle, Creative Mayhem, did a hugely vulnerable live where she promoted the knowledge base of what essential tremors were, and just explained why it was important to her. So please go and check her live out. Mindy talked about breast cancer, and there is a particular gene in her family that means the chances are much higher. So I think she said 7 in 100 normal women can get breast cancer. The people without with the chromosome issue, it goes up to 50 in 100. So it's a huge issue. It's not just women who can get this either. It is men and women, and men, if they have it, can be at risk for testicular cancer. Women can have ovarian or breast cancer. And I think she also mentioned, I've got a knot that I'm not going to be able to get out. I'm just going to have to try and pull it tight and then snag it through. That's pain. If I can. Alright, see how I go. So she was just saying, you know, how family were tested and she's been tested, and just her immediate family stories. They're just the Sparkle-thon whip and chats that I've caught up on. Oh, this is going to annoy me. As I said, there's about, 20 hours of footage to catch up on. So if you are in need of some watching, go check out that playlist. Yeah, so that was this weekend. The weather in Tasmania has been grey and grey. Very, I was about to say it's very Irish, but it's different. Yeah, it's just different. It's just like, I think I took a picture yesterday. Again, if I think of it, I'll insert it. It's actually, the picture is probably not as grey as it currently is now. So let me grab a picture, because it's literally just as if somebody just washed all the colour out of the world. And yeah, anyway, I'll put that in. There is just nothing. There's a little bit of green on my neighbour's palm tree, and the rest is bleh. We have, at this time of year, what we call Bridgewater Jerry. I know I've spoken about it before. Okay, so I live on a hill that overlooks the River Derwent, which is the main river that goes through Hobart and further upstream. So Bridgewater Jerry starts around New Norfolk, which is the next big town upstream. It actually starts a bit further, but it follows the line of the river. It follows the valleys, and it is just this fog that basically is like this fog river on top of the river. So we get up most mornings at this time of year to Bridgewater Jerry out and about. So it's this low-lying valley fog, and sometimes we're above the fog and you can see it billowing and churning, and it rolls at a massive rate of knots. Not something that I'm used to, maybe because of where I lived in Ireland. I was actually in the fog rather than above it, because I would have been, I don't know, 20 meters above sea level in one of the houses when we did get the fog. Fog in Ireland was quite unusual. Bridgewater Jerry here is normal. It's an every year thing. So yeah, Bridgewater Jerry has been in, and the weather has just turned. We have snow on the mountain. We had snow on the mountain last week down to 600 meters. We haven't seen the mountain this week, and there is bound to be snow there. It doesn't necessarily last when it does come clear, but it will be white and look like somebody sprinkled it with icing powder. And I won't be able to get a picture of that because it's not going to clear by the time I'm processing this tonight. So you'll have to wait and see my snow pictures. I have put them up before, maybe on my Instagram page. I can't remember. I know I've posted photos before of my snow.
Is the Jerry sort of almost coming up to the balcony, so you look out the window and it just looks like you could step over the cloud, and the next thing that you see is the hill on the other side of the valley.
Yeah, my husband's saying, because he's been here for 11 years, gosh. Talking about the Bridgewater Jerry being right below the balcony and how it, you step into nothing. It's really weird. I had the most amazing trip in Ireland, and I know I've talked about this before on one of my whipping chats. It was a Shannon cruise. It was around Halloween, and we got a fog on the river that weekend that we were there, and it was amazing. It's if you've never experienced fog, I don't think I can really explain it. I know there's that stupid movie, The Fog, and I think the music is more scary than anything else. But it silences everything. It's like putting a fluffy, cold, wet blanket on all sound. Everything just changes. Yeah, it's cold. It's bone-numbingly cold in this wet stuff. Sometimes you can get a dry fog. I think in Ireland it was a bit of a drier fog that we used to get, and there was a lighthouse at the end of the pier, and on a good day you could actually hear the pier lighthouse going off. Sorry, not lighthouse, the fog horn on the lighthouse. You could actually hear it going off, and it had a particular sound, and it would kind of go whoof at the end, and it kind of almost like give the horn sound, and then it would kind of suck it back in with this rapid buff noise at the end. It was very, very peculiar. I don't know if they did the particular sounds on the foghorn so that seamen could actually identify where they were. I know the lighthouses have particular frequencies so that they can go, oh, it's that kind of flash, we know where we are, that kind of thing. But I'm not sure if the foghorns had the same kind of mentality. I know my ex would probably know that answer because he was into all things nautical. So yeah, weather is bleh. Cold, wet winter stuff. And you guys are getting to start to enjoy summer in the northern hemisphere. Slightly jealous. Now, I need to try and fish that loop out. Where am I? Gotcha. Alright. Now, this last week, I have had half a week off work last week. I've got another week off work this week. Turned out I have a prolapsed disc, slip disc. I think there was another name for it as well. Something. Had a raft of blood tests because I felt I was off form and all of that kind of jargon. And my lovely doctor gave me a call yesterday for a follow-up and went through the list of everything, and it got to the point where it's kind of like, oh, but wait, there's more. And he was saying, you know, your vitamin D is down, and I'm kind of thinking, yeah, I don't get out. I have an office job. I wear long sleeves. The sun does not see my skin in Tasmania because it burns it like it's nasty. So yeah, not surprising. He said my iron count is low. Do you know what that means, girls, guys? When your iron count is low, they usually assume that there is internal bleeding. So of course you've got to have the lovely dignity of scooping through your... Yeah.
So much detail.
Yeah, it's fun. So yeah, some lovely homework to do. What else did he say? Oh yeah, he's testing my sugars, whatever the H1ABC thingy test is, for a random sugar test. I said, please tell me you're not going to give me a gluten tolerance test. I said, the first time I did it, I kind of went, why is everyone complaining about this? Second time I had to do it, yeah, not nice. And I can't do the bottle out of the fridge. For those of you who are not familiar with glucose tolerance tests, I'm going to have to go through. The glucose tolerance test is you having to go and sit at the blood centre, in Australia anyway, go and sit at the blood centre, and you have to get your blood taken. And then 2 hours, I think it's 2 hours later, you are going to get your second blood test. Well, in the interim period, you have 15 minutes to chug a bottle of glucose liquid, which is kind of like lemonade but sweeter. Oh my lord, this is just not going through. You've got to chug this little bottle. I don't think it's half a litre, maybe 400 or 350. You got to chug this bottle down in a short amount of time. I can't drink chilled drinks that fast. I get a reflexive cough when I eat cold stuff that quickly, and after an ice cream I usually cough. Anyway, so yeah, I don't have the chilled version. I asked for a room temperature version from them, and then, you know, after your 2 hours is up, you go and get your bloods taken again, and they tell you whether or not you're processing the sugars or something. Yeah, first time around it wasn't too bad. Second time around, I'm kind of thinking, yeah, I'm not keen on this thing at all. So yeah, it was a relief to be told, no, this is just a random sugars test. I've actually got to Google it and what the relevance of this test is over any other test. It's a little bit weird. I started going to this GP on the back of my workers' comp with my back, and that's why I kind of went back to him with my back the other day. He's much easier to get into than my husband's GP, and my husband is loyal as all hell to his GP. He takes a long time to warm up to anyone, and he has locked on to his, and he asked me to move to his clinic, and I kind of went, yeah, okay, because, well, I liked my old GP. He saved my life, I reckon. But I didn't mind moving to the clinic, and certainly I don't mind Sophie going to him or anything else, but it's so hard to get into him, and I needed urgent kind of care, that I ended up going to this other doctor for a short period of time. In the same practice, but yeah. So I'm glad he seems to be thorough, and he seems to be kind of on the ball. I did wonder, there was a couple of blips when I wondered, is he any good? But he seems to be kind of okay. So yeah. So one of the kickbacks, which I knew was going to be an issue at some point, is my cholesterol is bad. And from that point of view, from a genetics thing, I have the bad, good cholesterol, so that I've got low, I always get this mixed up. There's HDL and LDL. Well, the HDL needs to be a certain level to be beneficial to you when you've got dodgy LDL. But my HDL is never good anyway, and that's a genetic family issue. And you cannot change that figure. But my LDL then is related to diet. This is all my understanding. If I'm wrong, well, please put me onto an agency that can give me better instructions. But so my ratios are never going to be good, and then with my stupid English diet of cream and butter and things like that, I probably am not helping my LDLs get any better. I don't know if a Mediterranean diet would work because of my poor HDLs. My GP that I had nearly 10 years ago had warned me that it was going to be an issue, and said, I'm really reluctant to put you on statins back then. And I kind of kept my numbers okay, but lately my numbers have gone the wrong direction, and my GP the other day said, yeah, your cholesterol is really bad and you're going on statins. And I went, what? Okay. I didn't see any issue with going on the statins, other than it's a drug that you've got to take on a regular basis. I don't know enough about it. I don't know that I would be able to make that radical dietary change. I know I've done diets before, but I don't know if I can make that radical a dietary change. I kept putting it into the too hard basket. I also
I'm sorry, who's doing the cooking?
you do some of it. So it's not that we eat bad, it's just, I'll have...
I'm just saying, it's not like you're doing it yourself.
No, it's not like I'm doing it alone.
If I cook you what you're supposed to be having, you're going to bloody eat it.
Oh, what, we're going to eat
So
more
there.
fish, are we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No.
that'll, yeah.
Okay, no, I do have a limit.
Okay.
I do have a limit.
Anyway,
Gosh.
yes.
Well, I completely burned on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, diet changes. Ugh, it's hard work doing a lifestyle diet change. Like really hard work. And my problem is that I don't natively go to things like olive oil on tomatoes and things like that. And I know tomatoes are better here in Tasmania than they were in Ireland, but I'm still not a fan, and I want to enjoy my food. And he's kind of going, yeah, well, if you don't take this, you're going to be looking at heart attack or stroke. I was like, okay. When do I need to start these? Now. Okay. Choice of getting old.
Old, yeah.
Yeah. So I've got all the risk factors, apparently. Yeah. And then if I do end up with type 2 diabetes, because I've got gestational diabetes, I'm overweight, I'm sedentary lifestyle and all that kind of crap, I'm kind of thinking, yeah.
Do something about it now then.
Insulin dependent or portion control, and I know it's all down to carbs and all that kind of thing from doing GD, but geez, it's hard work.
Rowing machine out the deck.
Yeah.
Off you go.
Yeah, it's got the skip in it. You've got to fix.
Oh dear.
I'm not a... Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't an active person. I have done gym stuff before, but... And then when my back is sore, it's like the last thing I feel like doing. It's horrible weather, and it's kind of like, oh, I don't even feel like going for a walk. My poor dog could do with a walk. He's getting chubby, but he needs the fat because he sleeps outside. He's a beagle. So he's got this nice layer of fat around his ribs at the moment to keep him warm during the winter. Otherwise, he would be probably shivering in his kennels. He has a choice of two. And for some reason, he slept in the airy one last night. I don't know what's going on. Maybe the rain... Well, he's got a flap on the other one, so I don't know. We've had so much rain in the last couple of days. His food's overflowed. The cat's food's overflowed. The bins had a huge amount of water in them just for 2 hours out in the open rain. Between me collecting them after them being emptied, it was just, it's been, yeah, crazy. And then of course, you know, we get to the end of the week when the sun comes out, we'll forget about this grey, and it'll be fine again. And then we'll just be waiting for the snow, because that happens. And the snow normally, it's really cool because the snow will fall overnight, so you wake up in the morning and the sun hits the mountain and the mountain just glows with the snow, and it's like, oh hey, we had snow overnight. So it's always a nice surprise when that happens. We have been watching Miriam Margolyes? Margolyes? Mrs. Madam, what? Margolyes? Miriam Margolyes. Ex-Pom. Now Australian citizen. She became a citizen.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, I'm getting there. She became a citizen on Australia Day, in the last year or two. And she's an actress who played Madame Pomfrey in Harry Potter. She doesn't like children. She's got a 3-part series on the TV about finding what makes what makes Australians kind of have their, what's the big Australian dream. So she hops in a motorhome. Apparently she says she's a Jewish lesbian, Jewish fat lesbian. I knew those 3 things. Jewish fat lesbian. She's been with her partner Heather for ever. She's got a gorgeous bush kind of country outlook on her home, which the journey starts off in, and then she goes from just south of Sydney up to Sydney, and then over a little bit to Turn something or other, and then she goes down Trundle, yeah, Trundle, and then she's going down to Melbourne, and she's sitting at a campsite with somebody else. I'm a little bit bemused by this woman. Let's just say. She has been quite rude. She's sitting on a chair at one of the campsites. She kind of starts talking to one of the other campers there, who is, now what is she? She's a single woman, has had kids, possibly is gay. Don't go into an awful lot of details with her, but she has had a mortgage, left the mortgage, gone on the road, and lives homeless. Well, not homeless because she's in a tiny house on wheels. And she does this now. And then some other couple come over and they have a young girl. And Miriam actually gets quite rude about this. She says, I hate children. And she's kind of going, I hope they don't come over here. And of course, in a campsite, people come over and they say hello and they introduce themselves. So that's a bit kind of confronting when she goes, I hate children. And then you kind of think, you were in a kid's movie. Okay, let's keep going. She's got that kind of standoffish kind of manner. She has this rainbow ribbon, though, on the back of her chair, as if it's, you know, making a statement on it. It's on the back of a camp chair, and it's just this rainbow ribbon. And I don't know, do people wear or use the ribbons as a kind of almost a political flag, or statement, or do they do it just to say, hey, I identify with this, wherever they go? I don't know. I don't know what the story is with that. Just an interesting kind of observation I think I had, because one of the toasts that the chick that she's with makes then is, you know, queers, cheers, and something else. Queers, cheers, and beers or something is what she says when they all sit down to have a bite to eat, and she starts chatting, and she starts chatting with the kids and everything else. And the kid is gorgeous. This beautiful little girl who's with her folks, and 2 girls. And they just started chatting, and they chatted about being homeless. They had a business. They went on the road. They've been on the road for... They were actually on the road, I think, quite a short time. They were only on the road maybe 6 weeks. But they reckon it's all about experience for the kids and getting away from the stress of the mortgage and the business and all of that kind of thing, just to try and level out their lifestyle. He was working all day and not seeing the kids, and he said that's not the kind of lifestyle that we wanted. So that's the change that they made, which, you know, good for it. Then she rocks up to some little town, and she goes into Vinnie's, the local op shop, and she starts asking about a Pyrex dish from one of the store attendants, and he responds to her, and then she goes, "Now, where are you from?" And he goes, "Afghanistan," or something. And they start chatting. He says something to her, and everything just stops, and she kind of goes, "Okay, let's take this somewhere else." So they go over to another section of the store where they've got some couches, and they sit down on the couches, and he tells his story of being an Afghani refugee. He is in his very early 20s. He's over here. His English is not brilliant for a kid who's been here that long, so I'm not quite sure where he's ended up being. He may have been in camps for a number of years.
Explain how old he is.
Sorry?
You said he was
Early 20s, yeah.
You came over in his early 20s.
No, I'm getting there. So he's now in his 20s, but he came over here as a 10 or 11-year-old refugee on, I think, on one of the boats. So he may have been in a camp where he wasn't speaking Australian for a number of years. So he's still quite heavily accented. And he's now working, well, I say working, I don't know if he's paid as a Vinnie's worker. Either way, his idea was that he was here and he was here to give back to Australia. But when he got talking, so he's lost his parents, he's lost his brother and possibly a sister to the war in Afghanistan. He's here on what's called a permanent protection visa, or maybe it's not a permanent, maybe it's just a protection visa. Well, what this guy is looking at is his visa runs out, I think, either this year or next year. And the government here is saying, we're not going to give you any protection. Well, this young man now, has been here since a young age. And the idea of saying, we're not going to let you become a permanent resident in Australia, and we're going to potentially turf you out, is something that could be facing this young guy. And again, that was a bit of a heart-stopping moment for her and, you know, the watcher, me, whatever, because you have this young man who is giving back to his country of tenancy, and he has limited to no protection whatsoever. So yeah, it was a bit heart-wrenching what some of the refugees are going through. And that's, look, we have some stories here that come through, and we've had people in Tasmania who have supported refugee families and made petitions, and they've been publicised in the paper to try and, you know, their permanent residency or their permanent visa thing is up for checking, and can we support them, and you know, this man, woman, whatever they are, they're now a business person, they're now doing this for the community, they're now doing that for the community, can we petition to get them to stay? And that has successfully happened in Tasmania. It's probably been 2 years since one of those big kind of hoo-has was made in the media, but that family were able to stay. They, you know, were supported by the locals and all that kind of thing. So it's not something you hear of frequently. So yeah, it was quite interesting seeing the real human side of these stories. And just listening, not even, you know, trying to judge or anything else, just listening. I know Rachel has similar happenings over in Ireland. I think they've got refugees staying in one of the hotels, and there's big campaigns there, you know, because they're being put into squalid conditions and, you know, no space and COVID and all that kind of stuff, and it's just not suitable. Ireland has always been a place for refugees. Back in the 90s, when I was living there, it was a lot of the Polish coming across, and I have to say Ireland is quite racist. It's kind of like they're very much a little bit of the NIMBY, the not in my backyard kind of thing, to a point. But then you also get the don't fucking mess with me whatsoever, we're going to fight for these people, you know, and support them. So there's quite a different kind of worldview going on there. So the Poles came over, and people are going, oh my god, they're going to take our jobs and all this kind of thing. And it's the same as in any society, I suppose. They're not going to actually take your jobs. They're going to take the jobs because you don't fucking well want them. You dull bludgers, you. And, you know, you get the same arguments over and over. And you've got the same kind of argument here, you know, with the lower socioeconomics, and they're kind of going, oh, they're coming here to take our jobs. And as one couple that Miriam spoke about, they... Farm has employed people from other countries because the Australians wouldn't take the jobs at the low rate of pay, so they're getting all these international workers instead. There was a woman that she interviewed. She kind of wrapped up on this when it was a bit confronting. She was an Aboriginal woman who does not identify as Australian, because she says Australian is this contrivance of, you know, what came after her people were on the land. And it was she said it with quite an odd phraseology. She was saying that her mother was of this tribe, and so therefore she identifies as the mother's tribe. And it was almost like, well, hang on, why can't you just say that you're that tribe, or whatever, you know, it is. She's also a speaker in Parliament. She has been elected to Parliament, but I think some of her ideas were confronting and not really maybe fully thought through, and I haven't thought through an awful lot either. But I have heard, you know, you do a bit of digging for fact checking, and I noticed that there's, you know, some people are getting a bit irate about Trump lately, and people not fact checking and stuff. So we had a quiz in work, and they were talking about having 5 Australia Day different dates in the last however many years. And this woman is kind of going, well, you know, on Australia Day, when she sees people having barbecues and waving the flag and celebrating her invasion day, and I'm kind of thinking, yeah, but are you aware that there was 4 other dates and you had a problem with those too? And it's, you know, it's almost like they want to pick and choose which bit of history they want, and they can't or won't settle. It's more about the point rather than the actual issue. And yeah, I think it's all getting a bit muddied. somebody else I saw was actually berating the Aboriginals for being like dull bludgers, that, you know, and just living off welfare. I don't know about his argument and how good it was, but I know a lot of them do struggle when they're restricted to the communities. They actually have a lot of communities that are alcohol free because the Aboriginals will have huge issues with the drinking, and I don't know if that's because they can no longer wander. I don't know if that's like the Native American reservation issues that you guys might be more familiar with. I'm not into political shaming, whatever, but I am about learning knowledge. So if you've got resources that you want to share, websites, and, you know, that would be really, really cool. I know a lot of atrocities were done when people came to the land, and they were certainly killing blacks here, treating them like animals rather than people, and all that kind of thing. And I know the slave trade was huge over in the States. Well, slave trade was huge all over because that's what England as a colony did back then, so it wasn't anything unusual back then. Doesn't mean it was right. And you've got the likes of Wilberforce who fought against it, you know. So yeah, maybe it's just a case of know your history. So yeah, some quite thought-provoking things going on. You know, it's interesting. I don't get involved in controversial stuff too often on Facebook, but there was a comment on one of our newspaper feeds the other day saying that the Hobart City Council wanted to pedestrianise Hobart. Sorry, not pedestrianise. They wanted to reduce the speed limit in the Hobart area. And I put up a comment saying, yeah, if it was this particular block, don't see a problem with that. It's the heavily pedestrianised area. And some guy came on and responded to me, and it was such a damning comment. And I'm kind of thinking, who the fuck are you? Sorry about the language, but it was a really nasty, nasty comment. And it wasn't even proper English. Like, he was, I don't even know what he was meant to be saying. But it was almost like, you know, why are you being so nasty about this? Someone else, same news company, they said about having Irish and English snacks in Tasmania, and what foods would you be interested in having from Ireland or the UK? I think maybe it was UK, and I, you know, went through a lot of the comments, and people are kind of going, oh, I miss this particular chocolate, or I miss this particular chips, or whatever. And I'm kind of going, look, you can get these in Woolies and Coles. And I put a comment down, and this guy came over. No, this guy had made a comment in the middle of this food thread. What would you like to see from British foods in Tasmania? And this guy made a political comment saying something about the UK and Trump and something else, and it was like, what the hell? I don't even understand what you're saying. And I said, I think you're confusing your nations. And the guy came back with some other diatribe directed at me, and I'm kind of going, oh God, I really don't miss trolls. Far out, they are the bane of life. It's just, yeah, don't like them. So yeah, I don't have much experience dealing with trolls because I tend to either not comment at all because it's just like stupidity abounds here, or I don't know enough information and I'm not going to say something that I'm going to then get wrong.
Are you saying there aren't any stupid people in Ireland?
No, not at all.
I think they kind of work in every country.
Yeah, I think they do, but I mean, I know we have trolls in the lives, and you get weird people doing, you know, weird comments, and we boot them out quickly. But it was just like, are there really? I know it's the naive in me because I gloss over the idiot comments, and yeah, when I read the couple, it was kind of like, oh, geez. There really are some strange people out there with some strange ideas. And I don't miss not interacting with them. Look, when I know, well, if you've been following my channel, you'll know the series that I'm doing on Mondays, the Worthy Start to the Week, with me reading letters from a lady. Well, Phil used to have a website that I was a blogger on, and it was a Bible study. We had one regular troll who would comment on it, and we had some pretty good discussions. He wasn't totally shut out to the whole God thing, but he had been very, very hurt either by the church or life or something, and he did come, across with some interesting kind of arguments. Now, Phil was used to this, and some of the guys really got swept up in the arguing the toss with this guy, and I never did, but he was, a regular written troll, I suppose, that I used to deal with in the past. But yeah, I've never had hatred hurled at me. This guy never hurled hatred. He was just hurt. Very, very hurt. And yeah, just kind of seeing people kind of, directed at you. It's, and there was something else that I read. A couple of kids who were doing teddy bears for people locked up in their homes during the COVID shutdowns were getting death threats and stuff. And it's like, who the hell does this? It was just like, what? It was bizarre. Really, really bizarre what people will spend their time doing on the internet. It's all like, oh man, get a craft. You're going to be so bloody broke you won't be able to bleat your hysteria. Yeah, I don't know. Strange people. And then, of course, we've got people in our own community who get hassled that we've seen. I don't get it. I'm going to take a sip of tea in just a second. It's hard work going through layers and layers of floss. My husband's sniggering over to the side here.
Say layers and layers of human crap.
No, I don't tend to wade through human crap on a regular basis. Dear. So what it has been happening with the channel. I have unboxed some more Diamond Art Clubs. Those videos are scheduled to go up in the future. I still have more to go. The stock is getting redone on a regular basis. I went on to the site after the last release, the one with the Ladybug release. They were pretty. And that was the one with the ladybugs, the kittens, I think there was a nice Chuck Pinson as well. But then the other Chuck Pinson was gone, and I was like, yeah, okay. Not buying them. So I've put them into my wish list. Now the wish list is behaving itself oddly. I haven't actually spoken to the DAC about this, but it's all, I know they use a third party, but the wish list I've created on my phone doesn't marry up with the wish list on the internet on the computer. So yeah, there's a bit of an anomaly. I've lost a whole heap of my stuff. I thought I'd put them back on, and then they disappeared again. And I was like, right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's looking better with the top backstitched. Yeah, it'd be so nice when the stock starts rolling in a bit more regularly and I've got more of my wish list available so I can make a proper purchase. What else? What else? My son has now moved his wedding venue. Apparently, he's getting married in a pub. And I kind of went, oh my god! It's like the Irish Catholic coming out of me going, you're not getting married in a church? He wasn't getting married in a church anyway. People in Ireland, I don't even know if people in Ireland are stuck to having to get married in churches anymore, if they can get married anywhere. In Australia, you get married wherever the celebrant is. It's the celebrant that's the important place and not the building. In Ireland, you get married in the building that's sacrosancty, kind of, whatever. And it's the location rather than the person that's officiating that's the important bit. So, yeah, the whole getting...
Is it possible that that would have been your understanding when you were 20, as opposed to your understanding when you were double that?
No, that was it. It was the place and not the person that...
But that would have been a church-based thing.
Yeah, but I didn't get married in a traditional church. I got married in a Christian church that my dad didn't like.
Oh.
But it was the church again that was the important... It was the location. It wasn't... Because the celebrant... Now, hang on. Okay, let me give you a bit of a blast from the past then. Okay. My wedding in 1993 in Ireland was a Christian Brethren kind of Pentecostally, I don't know, happy clappy church, as they used to call them, in Ireland. Now, the minister who married us, apparently he wasn't legally able to marry us. So what ended up happening was a civil celebrant stood in the churchy ceremony bit, and he didn't say anything to us or anything else. He watched our minister John marry us, and then we had to go and sign the forms. I don't think there was anything else said. But it was the fact that the civil celebrant came to our wedding that officiated the thing. It wasn't a church wedding where a priest officiated, and it wasn't a civil celebration where you would kind of go to the local town hall kind of thing, and there was no church involved and no people really involved. So I know in the States, I think it seems to be very, very different from that point of view. I think we even had to announce back then. We had to do the bands and do those announcements. Here in Australia, we didn't have to do announcements. The bands is not a thing here anymore. The celebrant had to have the information. Oh, Sophie's awake. The celebrant had to have the information a month beforehand. She had to register our interest.
Big blonde rat in the kitchen.
She's found the... That would be because the whole tray is out. So, yeah, here the celebrant had to have the paperwork. She had to lodge it with births, deaths and marriages a month beforehand. Somebody in the back office had to dot the I's and cross the T's, make sure I had divorce paperwork, had to make sure birth certificates were correct. She couldn't marry in my traditional... Sorry, no, she couldn't marry in my nickname. She had to use the full name. The important bit was the phrase of, you know, do you kind of thing, and the rest of it was fluff and nonsense. There's literally 2 sentences in an Australian marriage that make it a legal marriage. She then signs the paperwork, sends it off to birth tests and marriages, and you get a certificate in a couple of weeks. Flopsy and a pouch. Play? You want to play? Plate? No, what am I missing? Yeah, I know, you knocked my pouches. Sophie's just woken up, so she's a little bit kind of out of it still. She's not making a lot of sense. Yeah. What are you doing? You go sit with Daddy and have your pouch. Yeah, you can't stand there. Oh, did you find the dragon? Look, look, look. We got a dragon for the new car. This is Dexter. And he... Yes, the dragon is originally called Dexter. He's going to be renamed to Trevor. Or Trevor. To go with our car. My husband came up with that. Probably on the toilet. Oh, Sophie's saying hi. Look, this is Flopsy. Flopsy's saying hi. Go on, take your roadkill. Bye bye. You go and eat your pouch. Dear. So yes, she just spotted the new Trevor. We have a Norbert dragon. Well, he's not actually a Norbert dragon, but he was named Norbert due to the Rego having an NO in it. And he is a red dragon, and he sits on the dash of the Jeep. So it was like, oh, let's keep with the dragon theme, and went on to Jellycat in, I think in one of our local stores, but I think I went onto the Jellycat site, found the dragon. Don't know why I actually went to Jellycat as opposed to TY, because Norbert's a TY Beanie Baby. But anyway, that's where I ended up, and got a Jellycat and had to order it from the UK, and it came in the mail this morning. I was like, yay! My husband just buying all the tech for the new car, and then wonders if he's overspending, and
then he remembers he's forgotten something.
Yeah, and then he goes, am I being too cheap and not buying you such and such? Oh no, that was to do with my bridge. He's printing me a new bridge for my lights. And then he's kind of going, oh, am I being too cheap by not getting you the expensive version of, I don't know, some e-paper screen or something? I don't know, some techie bit.
I haven't even decided to give you a screen yet, but now you make me wonder whether it needs a touch screen and...
Yeah, and then he gets all technical involved, and it's like, oh god, I don't know.
The brain's gone fizzle fart.
Yeah, he reckons his brain's gone fizzle fart, mine's gone fizzle fart. And I'll just take what I'm given. But then he accused me of being fussy and not wanting something on the bridge, or... It's like, wow.
Oh. For the new extension, so you can see the screen.
Yeah, it was extensions. So I could actually, so I didn't have to duck my head or have the screen minimized so tiny on my massive screen behind me. Yeah. Husbands. I know.
A handcrafted extension, I might add.
Yes, he did. He faked it till he made it. With this extension, he's basically got one end of something and he's got it and copied it, and then he's got something else and pulled it this way and that and created this
graphically
thing. Yeah, done all on software. In Blender or something, I think, or whatever he's using these days.
Yeah.
If you have 3D printing husbands or partners, or you do it yourself, you will probably be familiar with that.
You can't have another pouch.
You better put the pouches away out of her reach then.
Sit down.
All yesterday, all she wanted was the chips. She woke up from a nap and she was cranky as, and she kept on going back to the crisps or chips and getting really, really narky when we were refusing. It was a fun afternoon, not. Kids. And then she wants to watch the TV in with us, and we're kind of thinking, oh, I'm so sick of Octonauts. Put the TV on in the bedroom, and she kept on losing attention on that, which is fine. And it's like, go and play with your animals. And she was fine when she was playing with her animals. Yeah, she was a funny kid. She was just in an odd mood. But she got changed this morning and insisted on going back to bed, and actually got cranky with me because I walked away, not realizing that she had tucked herself into bed and she wanted a final tucking in. Because sometimes she'll go for a nap straight after breakfast, and sometimes she'll go for a nap in the later afternoon. So she's very much kind of led by her.
See?
We'll give it here. I'll show.
Well, it's just that the bottom doesn't sit down properly yet because I haven't finished tidying it up. But that's the rough idea.
So this is what he's made. It's like an obelisk thing. See? So that's the foot of the bridge, and then the arch like a rainbow is going to come out of this end. But yeah, that's how it's going to look. And he was talking about putting a screen on one of these faces.
So you can change the complicated
And I was kind of going, oh, I only needed to be like 30 mil high, and he kind of goes, okay, I'm guessing double. And then of course it was fine because he ended up shrinking it back down by 70%, which reduced the 70.
No, it's 75 mil.
Oh, it's 75 mil. But so the lift is the middle part, which was not in the design whatsoever. So it'll be interesting, whatever way happens with this creation that you get to see. No, it's actually off screen. The lights are just reflecting just along the line here. But you will have seen them in some of my other videos. The lights.
The old version.
No. The current lights.
Yes.
Yes.
The old one.
Yeah, which will be the old one. The new ones will have diffusers and
Twice the brightness.
two rows of lights, but the diffuser will hopefully make it so that it's not quite so dotty on the screen when it bounces back in the reflection. And I probably won't need them to be up quite as high either. And they will point in different directions, so a bit less shadowing and all that kind of thing. So yeah, toys. So that's the plan with the desk. He's building the last foot right now. The printing is happening, and it's like a 24-hour job or something, so it'll be won't be finished tonight? No, tomorrow.
Oh, overnight.
Overnight, yeah. So I wasn't sure when he put it on. So that's the plan with that. And yeah, he's waiting anxiously for the notification to say the car's on the ship, or it's about to get on the ship, or something. And then it's like, okay, plans, kick off into gear, and all that kind of thing. Because then we've got to start getting Norbert ready for sale. You know, cleaned and a bit of spit and polish and all the junk that we have in the car moved on, and minimise all the stuff that needs to be removed, all that kind of thing. Not that there's much in it. We got a gorgeous pram when Sophie was born, and it was really handy when we had the capsule, which is what they call the baby carrying portion. And you basically get the capsule and you clip it into the base of the car. It's like a fitting on the car seat. And oh, where am I going? I'm gonna go somewhere nearby. Very handy for moving a little kid around. We used it all the time when she was much younger, but haven't you really used the pram stroller much at all recently. So just sit, yeah, kind of keep her active and let her walk, or my husband carries her, he puts her on his shoulders. She isn't at the point where she will hold my hand crossing a road. We usually end up having a fight and she gets dragged like a chimpanzee swinging, so that's not fun. Hopefully she will start to learn the benefit of holding hands crossing roads sooner than later. But for very short trips, yeah, haven't found the need to hold the pram out and put her in and all of that kind of stuff. It's almost like more work than is needed. And the foot muff that we had in it for the winter, she's going to be too big. Yeah, all of that kind of stuff. We tend to be too much of a homebody, I think. And, you know, she needs to get out and about, run off some of her energy from all these pouches that she asks to eat. Give her a sandwich and it's like a fight. Give her a pouch and she sucks it down in 2 seconds. And it's like, just eat your real food, please. So she gets the fruit in pouches. She gets a variety of those kind of things. She is a complete demon when it comes to fruit. Berries, she absolutely adores. And they are very, very expensive. And what is it with raspberries and strawberries? I buy strawberries and they're starting to go moldy within a day of putting them back into the fridge. It's like, I don't know why this happens. I cannot seem to keep them fresh whatsoever. Don't know what it is, whether it's to change from heat to cold or what. But they have to be used within a whole day, like within a day. Otherwise, I might as well just chuck them.
Living in a warmer house?
No, I think it was the same in Peru. In my old house. I don't know. One thing I seem to be really enjoying lately is a pate. I know I mentioned it in one of the girls' lives. And they were kind of like, ooh, that sounds fancy. And I said, yeah, it's chicken liver meat paste kind of thing. And they went, ew. May have been Kerwin and Crashly, but I think it was other people mentioning that. Oh, it sounds nice, but or it might have been Tia actually. Yeah, but it's made from chicken livers, but you saute onions and herbs, and then you saute the liver so it's cooked pale brown. You kind of get rid of the pink, and then you deglaze your pan with alcohol of some kind. Could be brandy or it could be port, or I think I used Southern Comfort back in the day because I didn't have port and I wasn't going to buy it, so I used to deglaze with whatever alcohol was in the cupboard. And when that's done, you then blitz it with a machine that makes it into a paste. And there's a lot of butter in it, and you put the whole thing then into your dishes and you chill it. And then you eat your meat paste pate on toast or crackers, and it's a bit of a delicacy. It's not foie gras. You don't punish the chickens or geese or anything else. It's just the livers. Foie gras is when you overfeed the geese on corn, I think it is, so it makes the liver go yellow. And that's a different thing altogether. I don't think I've eaten foie gras, but the process of doing it sounds barbaric, and that's why a lot of people don't like it anymore. Just because of the animal cruelty involved. I don't know if they put I don't know, I think they just overfeed them. They basically put a tube down their throat or something, and yeah. And because of the overload of corn, it colours the flesh of the bird.
Okay, move along.
Yeah. Okay, I'm playing thread chicken now. Apparently that's what it's called. I'm just at the end of a window. And then I'm going to find somewhere to put it.
Have you got my knife somewhere, baby? Have you got my knife somewhere? Where's put it? You've hidden it somewhere, have you? No, get off the charging cord.
Which knife?
Hobby knife.
Oh. Don't recall.
Oh,
I'm getting there.
Mummy's got it.
No, I've got my own. Nearly there. I've got 2 more here, 4 more, 5, and then the little ones. Another thread. Hey, what I will do is show you how I do my floss though, because I don't know if you do floss like this. When I was in Rebecca's live on the weekend, I was saying to her that I was debobbinating. Why do people put stuff on bobbins? It's like you've got to wind them up on the bobbins for floss, and then you've got to unwind them to get the floss off, and then you've got to rewind them. And I was just like, why? I didn't get that. So I was consolidating my pre-bobbinated stuff from a stitch along last year. So this is what I do. This is the floss. It's in the bag. I've pulled this thread out, and DMC being as beautiful as it is, you can pull, and I've put my scissors around my neck for my cross stitching, and that's it. So it's pulled back in the bag, and you know, it's done. And yeah, if that was bobbinated, I'd still be fighting it. So yeah, not a fan of bobbins, I discovered. I sent a message to Robin of Paddywhax. I had an amazing idea after some other people were talking, and I'm waiting to hear back from her. Haven't heard anything yet. So if you know Robin, tell her that there's a message in her inbox, and yeah, it's a good plan. But yeah, I need the information before I can say what it is. And no, it's not me making wax. I'm so not interested in doing Australian wax like that. I have a different idea, and that involves the husband, and I haven't talked to him yet either. Yeah, it involves the printer.
Nothing wrong with the printer?
No, I know. But if the idea with Robin didn't work out, I might do this other option.
Sounds like you're talking code so that all your friends understand it and I don't.
No, nobody's going to understand it. It's an idea at the moment.
Oh.
But it would be a local Tasmanian producey thing that I would end up being able to sell on Etsy.
Oh.
But I would need my husband involved, and I need my local enterprise involved. But ultimately it's a very simple idea. It's just I want to present it in a pretty way. But if Robin's idea was able to work, I would promote that too, because I think it would be awesome. I'm seeing the glow in the dark thread through this yellow as well. I have to say, it looks amazing on camera. So the moon, I haven't outlined the moon above. No, I might leave it unbackstitched. I can always go back. But yeah, for now, I'm going to leave it unbackstitched. Let me know if I should outline the top of the moon. I'll keep looking at it. I ended up, in one of my pictures of the train, I had put a black cross through the front light of the train, and I ended up taking that off and putting glow in the dark on it instead. So I've done a, there was a name, somebody, it's a kind of starbursty kind of stitch, and I was like, stitches have names? Yeah, who knew? It was some kind of radiating out from a central spot, and it kind of made a hole. Anyway, this was a thing that was this particular stitch. It was in the Peppermint Purple project, and it wasn't making a hole or anything. All you were doing was using the center as a spoke, I suppose. And from my understanding of this stitch was that you actually pulled it so that you created this little hole in the center, and that's not what Claire was intending, I don't think, with this kind of stitch. But it's basically where you can either go eagle pickle. You can either do these stitches as a diameter through your circle, so it's a line through the center, or you can use a radius and, you know, go out from there like a daisy wheel, kind of like a bike wheel, as opposed to the diameter, which would have these straight lines going right through the center and causing a different kind of speciality stitch. Anyway, all of this I'm going to learn when I eventually get into my rainbow sampler, which has the speciality stitches in it. So yeah, seriously, I did not know that these things had names, and that was my comment on that. And somebody else said, yeah, I know, me neither. Yeah, I just thought it was like cross stitch and back stitch and quarter stitch and 3/4 stitch, and then now we've got long diagonals with M and the stitch along. And yeah, we're learning all of these different things. I've got to finish off my house pattern. And that's all the back stitching on house. I need to download that onto my iPad so that I've got it. I should probably download it onto my computer as well, because all the pattern's going to be gone at the end of this project. I don't think I've got the eyes right on house. I will show my progress on a floss tube, and that will probably go up in the first week in July, so I need to get cracking on that soon. Yeah. I have a hankering for something. I don't know if it's ice cream or chocolate. And it's... Ooh, it's lunchtime. It's just after 12 in the afternoon, if you can call noon lunchtime. But yeah, it's like, yeah, ice cream or chocolate. I walked past a cafe yesterday, and they're all starting to reopen here, and they were talking about, you know, using hand sanitizer when you go in. They're restricting the amount of people that they can have in their venues and all this kind of thing. Anyway, there was a table of 4 little old women. I mean, that's not in an offensive way at all. Anyway, the 4 little old ladies, who are probably in their 60s, to be honest. Gosh, I'm too close to that to be able to... Oh, gosh. Anyway, these 4 old girls were sitting around this table doing what the old girls do. They were tiny table, and they were all elbow to elbow, and they would have been less than a meter talking across. It was the size of a bridge table, this table. And they were all sitting there, and it was like social distancing. What the hell is that? Yeah, and then there was another couple sitting at another table, and, you know, another couple of tables occupied. And it was just like, oh god. Social distancing is, yeah, almost a thing of the past in some cases. I haven't kind of ventured out really to know what the overall impact is in other cafes, restaurants and things around the place where the tables have been taken out and space being put in, because it's all well and good going out, if it was my husband and myself going out to a table that's, you know, spitting distance from each other, but going out to 4 girlfriends together who don't normally live together, that's, you know, I know they were talking about having people in bubbles, and you only talk to the people in your bubbles, and your bubble is not to mix with other bubbles, and bubbles everywhere. But yeah, I don't think these would be the kind of people who, you know, wouldn't interact then with somebody else some other time and that. So yeah, all a bit weird. Maybe I just need a donut. My husband's in the kitchen. Maybe I should get a donut when I'm out in the city later. You know what I'd love? Not the... there's a little donut shop called Circle of Life. Not one of those, but an actual sourdough donut. I don't know who makes them. I've got to hunt down... I don't think there was anyone in the city who actually did sourdough donuts anymore. They closed midweek. They open on Fridays. Today is a Tuesday. They're nice donuts. They make 4 or 5 varieties of donuts a week. They sell them at the local market. So it might be a lemon curd with rose water, and it might be a chocolate with pistachio, and you know, they mix and match some weird flavors. Their chocolate kind of ganache stuff is gorgeous. I know, this is why I have a problem with my cholesterol, because I like good tasty food. Maybe I should make a cake later. We have a whole heap of box cakes in the cupboard. Some of them are chocolate, some of them are caramel. We get the caramel because my husband is a bit of a caramel fan. I like the chocolate. I like fruit too. I haven't done fruit crumble or anything else. I don't know. I'll be sitting here and I'll be fine. Like, I'm actually okay sitting here with my back. My back is not moving. My hands are moving. I'm maintaining a similar lean forward but not too much kind of pose, so I don't feel like I'm sore right now. But when I get up from this, I will probably go, oh, okay. And moving around is particularly sore. Standing, walking. So the walk this afternoon when I'm in the city may or may not loosen things up. I want to take my painkillers before I go to do that kind of walking. I have been taking the Mercindol at night, which has got codeine and an anti-inflammatory or an antihistamine or something in it. Because I was really sore yesterday, and I can't think of what I was doing particularly detrimental yesterday. Yeah, did the washing up. There's more washing up. It never stops. That's all the big chunky stuff that doesn't go into the dishwasher. It probably could, seeing as there's just the two of us, but some of it I don't want to, because the ceramic knives, their handles are a bit precious and they break in the heat even though they're up the very top. So the coating gets all festy and feels horrible. Sophie, no. Plug it back in. Okay, just leave it alone. What's the matter? Leave your lip alone. So I think hubby's gone in to make bread, which means pate is definitely on the cards, because the fresh bread and his, the pate and his fresh bread, so good. I don't know which bread he's making, whether he's doing the crusty or the... Sophie, be careful with the charger. I don't know if he's making the crusty white. Stop touching it. Do you hear the beep? Stop touching it. No, just leave it alone. Just kicking our rapid charger because it's a finicky thing. It's into a Chinese adapter which the holes don't fit properly in, and the holes loosen, and it's a big blocky thing, so it's all out of balance, and it's a stupid thing. But it's how you get a rapid charge on the phone, which is really handy in that you can fully charge your phone in an hour. But if it's so loose that you keep on nudging it and it makes noise, it's just silly. Tech. Oh, if you're interested in the DP-a-thon, if you're either a creator or not, if you're a viewer, the next one will be in October. So if you're after, and I have, now what have I got? I've got all of the playlists that I've been involved in my playlist. So if you're interested in a couple of marathons and you have time on your hands to be able to watch or catch up, they are usually different from WiPnChats. I think I placed maybe 20 drills in mine, and the rest of the time was telling people about the Australia Zoo animals that you can adopt. And then in the middle half hour it was games, so it was rebus puzzles, so they were word puzzles. So a little bit of fun on that. And when I've done my lives in the DP-a-thon, I've tended to go for the games rather than just the chat or anything else. because, you know, it's a special occasion as opposed to you coming and seeing what's on my channel, I suppose. So please check out my playlists on my channel. Check out anyone's playlist. Most of the creators put their stuff into playlists, so you can go across the tabs on YouTube and you'll see, so on your front page you'll kind of see highlights, and then on the second tab you'll see videos, and on the third tab you'll see playlists, and on the fourth or fifth tab you might see community and something else and something else. Go through them. There's an about section as well, so there might be an introduction by your channel host, but the playlists are not necessarily stuff that they have produced. It could be stuff that they've liked. So if you put the phone back, please. Put the phone up and just leave it. So I know I've got a playlist, I think, with music and inspirational stuff, so it might be some funny songs that I've heard, or some worship music that I've listened to that I kind of thought, yeah, it's pretty good, and I'll save it to the playlist. You can also have private playlists on your YouTube channel. If you're a if you're watching me on YouTube, chances are you have a channel, and you can save lists yourself. They don't all have to be public, some of them can be private. They might default to save for later, and you can always go back and you can save your videos there. You can save your playlist that you view on somebody else's page. You can save that to your page, which is what I did with Marissa's playlist. I basically just went onto her page, grabbed her playlist, hit the save to mine, and it's on my playlists now. And as it's edited by Marissa, it's updated on my page, so you get, you know, all the information up to date, especially when things are changing last minute. I'm trying to see if that's backstitched. It is. It is. The little door. So, you know, make use of the technology out there. And you can always go back then and catch up. You should also see what you have played, because the play line has changed. The progress line on the video moves across the screen, so you can always see what you've viewed and what you haven't viewed on that playlist. Now this bit was a bit weird with this colouring, but I'm gonna kind of go with this. Save for later, I used to do that an awful lot with videos that I wanted to view later, and then I found out I was saving so many, it just got ridiculous, so I stopped doing that, and I think I changed the habits that I was doing with the videos, and I've probably missed a whole heap of people's videos as a result, but I have my favourite creators that I will go to. I'll actually go to their page and go into their videos if I feel, oh, I have to catch up, I've missed certain things, or they mention something in one of their videos and it's like, oh, I must catch up on such and such, or I must see what this unboxing was, or whatever it was. So I'll go onto the creator's page and then go and see what I've missed, and that little progress line is really handy to be able to go, okay, I haven't seen this video. Now the only problem with that progress line is if you go back to the beginning, you lose your progress line. So if you really want to know what ones you've seen, you need to drag the progress line to the very end or close to it to show that it's been viewed. That's one thing I have found, but it's handy. We have a TV system that's kind of similar, so it shows when you've watched it or not watched it, and if it's really terrible, sometimes I'll mark it as watched so I don't watch it again. that kind of thing. But YouTube is handy. And yeah, one of the beefs that I had in one of the updates YouTube did, they stopped doing how you could right click on a person's name in the chat and go to the channel on a new tab, and I was like, oh, that's a really unfortunate loss. It was really handy from a moderator's point of view, and it was really, really handy as somebody that you kind of think, oh, I want to go check out your videos. Here's a one-click. Now you have to open up a new tab. You have to put in the name. You have to make sure it's spelt right. You may or may not be able to find them, and it's just hassle. So I wish they'd bring that back, that function. That was really handy. Yeah. All right. I'm getting on a bit in time. I hope you can hang on with me for me to finish my windows so that you get to see what it's going to look like. As I said, I'm really, really pleased with this, with the backstitching. I think it really makes it pop. I love that Stuart will allow us to make all these changes without getting too precious, and hopefully he kind of goes, ooh, that's really cool, on some of them. And he has. He's certainly not threatened. I do like it when people aren't threatened by changes. Some changes have been a bit weird. Some changes have been a bit, ooh, okay, that's a bit of a license, but overall they've been okay. It's amazing how opinionated people get, and we kind of go, oh no, I didn't like that, so I changed it to this, and you kind of think, well, why did you come and do this project if you don't like this and you don't like that? And it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Oh. I heard Sophie being called. I was like, oh, she's getting into stuff. Oh, she's trying to get another pouch. I need to organise some lunch for her so that they can drop me into the city for a couple of hours. I've got to puddle around there. I'm actually getting a Russian wedding ring fixed. One of our local jewellery making stores. Hello, Flopsy. One of our local jewellery making stores has offered to do free repairs on jewellery. Minor repairs, no jewellery, stones replaced or anything like that, but minor repairs, and to be able to work with this team would be fantastic. I have this Russian set. It's 4 set interlocking rings that I bought with my Super Quinn points way back in the day in Ireland when I was working actually in Super Quinn, but as a shopper you earned points. And this was one of the first things that I purchased, and it was this 4 interlocking rings, and they gave you a puzzle solver so that if they fell apart you could put it together again. Well, I learned how to do this with this ring, so it's the 4 different golds, or 3 different golds, to make up this ring, and love it to bits. But it was cut off me at one point. One of the rings had already broken. It was so thin that I was considering getting it fixed and then tacked together so that it couldn't fall apart again, and it's just been sitting in my jewellery stuff ever since. But when this store offered, it was like, for real? So I'm off into there today, having missed my appointment originally last week, to see if they can fix it. It's not a big job. It was like, I don't know, 50, $100 for another jeweler to look at it before. But it would be really appreciated. And I love this store. I cannot afford their regular jewellery, but they do some gorgeous, gorgeous metalwork. So if you put them away, please. She's playing with my temperature chart from last year, and I haven't actually finished it. Pack it up. Thank you. and I can hear the little Tic Tac containers clicking. Put the lid on. Thank you. See, and what they'll end up doing, I suppose, is using it as a bit of, you know, promotion. What they were saying was that they were doing this to give back to Tasmanians. So yeah, I like to support them, and look, if I get a ring fixed, it would definitely be a company that I would recommend people to. I've gone in there before and I've looked at their jewellery, I've looked at their stones. Oh, you know what I did? One year there was, I was part of the Fat Mum Slim Photo a Day, so FMS Photo a Day group, and the suggestion for the day was, I think, pink, and I went in and I said, can I take a picture of one of your diamonds? It was a pink diamond. And they said, yeah, sure. So, you know, they're really, you know, they're family friendly kind of small business of these amazing artisans with the jewellery. So yeah, very, very happy to support these guys, even if I can't do it fully financially. Sophie, please get out. Pack it up and leave it alone. Thank you. Where's your llama? Or your pig? Can you find your pig? Yeah, I think 3 windows to go. Alright. Now I briefly mentioned to you when we started, if you're still here, good on you. Briefly mentioned to you that I had uploaded a whole heap of videos of Diamond Art Club. They kind of release once a week, not to overwhelm anyone. I also have the Monday series continuing through July, so they are continuing to release on Mondays. The incidental videos tend to get put in on a Tuesday, and on a Wednesday is the WiPnChat. So that's this one, and then Fridays have been the Frivolous Fridays, and I never really know the subject of the Frivolous Friday until I start doing the dot to dot or whatever hits my fancy. Sophie, close it now. She's gonna get yelled at in a minute. Close it. And I need to figure out what she's going to have for lunch. I might do her beans today. My husband's a big baked beans fan. Mind you, they're only big tins possibly, so that might be a bit of a problem. Not a big spaghetti fan. I like spaghetti. Although the spaghetti that we have here usually has cheese in it. It's weird. It's not like the English, Irish spaghetti that I grew up on. A taste differences, eh? Close the box. If I go around the back of this and find drills mixed everywhere, I'm going to have a blue fit. Do I need to turn off the TV, Sophie? Then put that away now. We'll turn off Iggle Piggle. Oh, she sounds like she's crawling away. I'm glad she's only little in some cases, because picking her up if she was 20 kilos would not be fun. And it's not the picking her up that's the bigger issue, it's the putting her down in her cot. She's on one of those low-lying beds. So when she turns around to be picked up, and it's like, oh god, I'm kind of dreading the other end when I have to put her down. Yeah. Close the box. Close it, please. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be distracting you guys by giving out to her, but yeah. I could let it all play off camera and then, yeah. You know how it happens when you've got kids who are getting into trouble when you can't stop them, or you don't want to stop them because that would mean interrupting what you're doing. Alright, I'm done. If you aren't already a subscriber, please click like, subscribe, click the bell for your notifications, so you will find out when you get more of these. I'm very, very appreciative for my subscribers. I would love to get up to 1,000 really quickly, but yeah, it is what it is. Part of that whole DP-a-thon is to kind of promote people. We haven't seen many subs out of this DP-a-thon either. Again, why? Oh, I've got 2. Right. Okay. So, look at that. Here, let me put them both in. Yeah, see, the owl is definitely lacking without the backstitch. Backstitch really, really makes that pop, doesn't it? That looks awesome. I'm so pleased with the moon and the twinkly stars. I'm absolutely chuffed. That's like, good job, well done, Pippa. That's awesome. I'm so pleased. It probably needs a bit of a stretch. That looks so cool. Oh, wow. Alright, I'll finish up. I'll take some pictures. I'll be able to put them up on the group. And, yeah, thank you for joining me for this. I know I have talked about all sorts of topics. Not necessarily all cheerful either. Sorry. I will see you next week for another chat. And, you will catch up with me certainly in between then and now as well. So, please take care of yourselves, look after each other. Yeah, I was just thinking of Mrs. Coffee saying goodbye, and it's kind of like, wash your hands, wash your hands. If nothing else, wash your hands. And don't touch your face. We're so bad at doing that. I'm so bad at doing that. So bad. I constantly touch my face. It's a terrible, terrible habit. Alright, oh, she's moved. She's into other things. Alright. Gonna go. Look after yourselves. I will see you soon. And I will see you around on the tubes. Bye for now.